As the 2020 Minnesota Vikings season just death spirals, and all the talk about firing Mike Zimmer, even though he's got this lucrative extension on his plate. And I think that there's one thing that all of us fans may be overlooking. Could Zimmer just straight up retire? So initially I was like, maybe. But this is a guy who was born with a whistle in his mouth, will probably die with a whistle in his mouth, and he's going to be a lifelong coach. But I got to thinking that I reached out to someone who would be in the know with Zimmer's thoughts and is not prone to hyperbole. And she said, never say never. I mean, they went full Justin Bieber on the bit. So I never thought that Zimmer would ever get out of the game. I think that this is a guy who lives and breathes football. Like, this is not only his life's work, this is his life, right? And even if he got fired, he would still coach somewhere else. Wherever Adam Zimmer got a job, he would be an assistant or an analyst or maybe even coach high school football or something like that. This is a guy who's always going to be involved with the game. But then I thought, if the Vikings were potentially going to fire him, would he go this route and then spare himself the indignity of being fired? It's possible, I guess, because you either retire a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and they get fired. But also, you factor in Zimmer's 64 years old, turned 65 in June. He's had major health issues that certainly cannot be helped by 120-hour work weeks, as well as a straight diet of pizza and chewing tobacco. And also, football coaching is just a grind, man. And also, to a degree, sort of a young man's game. Plus, if the Vikings go full rebuild mode, which they're certainly entering, is he up for that? Like, is he up for a full-on new, starting from scratch, everything? Is he ready to work with a rookie quarterback and put up with the shenanigans that are going to be coming with a young QB? Although, are those shenanigans worse than Kirk Cousins? Or does he want to keep working with Kirk Cousins? That's another good question. Also, do the Vikings trust him to work with a rookie quarterback? Because that is the most important relationship in all of sports. Quarterback, head coach, right? Also, in the age of analytics, who Zimmer's expressed a disdain for in the past, as well as offense, including all the rules in the NFL being relaxed or changed to favor the offense, does he feel like this is not the game that he grew up in? This is not the game that he loves. This is not the game that he mastered defensively, or has the game, to a degree, passed him by? And maybe the results from this year have shown, perhaps. And also, if he retired now, years from now, time heals all wounds. So right now, relationship with the Vikings fans probably not great. But after time passes, Vikings fans will remember the good old days. He's the third winningest head coach in Vikings franchise history, behind Bud Grant and Denny Green. He salvaged the Leslie Frazier defense, 2013, 32nd, dead last in the league in terms of scoring. Then, of course, the Minneapolis Miracle, and he'll just be remembered as this tough, grizzled throwback, this Bud Grant adjacent type coach, and just never got it done. But as of right now, his winning percentage this season is looking like a J-Ron Kurtz breathalyzer, so that's no bueno. Plus, you do see how Zimmer is in the offseason. He's out at the ranch, he's drinking some wine, he's shooting shotguns, and also, reportedly, there's a new interest in his life. So at a certain point, just the quality of life and quality time with some pretty appealing people can be pretty appealing. No more media jackals, no more fans booing. Well, not at home because there's no fans allowed, but no more fans just calling for him to be fired. No more having your heart ripped out in games that you should win and just like shown to you while it's still thumping, like ba-boom, ba-boom. Go full Indiana Jones on the bed. Also, if he retired, there's a slight chance that the Vikings would try to keep continuity. And that's something that's been preached under the Wilfs, under Spielman, is that the Vikings have been very conservative in making changes either in the front office as well as on the coaching staff. They want to stay the course. Maybe too stubborn to a degree. Right? But also, maybe Mike sacrificing himself in this spot could potentially keep his son Adam as well as the rest of his staff employed, or at least part of them. Maybe. Again, I don't think Kubiak would be up for the head coaching job. I don't think he wants that on his plate. I don't even think he wanted to be offensive coordinator, but we went down the reason why he took that job, because it keeps his guys, Clint Kubiak, Perriani, Dennison employed, but it's another thing. But maybe it's Andre Patterson time. Andre Patterson, maybe he feels like he's ready to take the mantle of a head coaching job. I think Andre Patterson is an amazing leader of men. I think that he would be a great leader of this football team, and he deserves a shot to be a head coach if he wants that shot. But also, I would disagree with the approach, because I think it's time for a clean slate. I think it's time for an offensive-minded head coach who can grow together with the future franchise quarterback of the Vikings. Also, I don't think that Zimmer should be allowed to be to name his successor. I just don't think so. But, I mean, that could weigh into his thinking. And also, if the Vikings do have some inkling about firing Zimmer, again, maybe he plays his card, because if he was fired, he would get the full payout, sure. But if he retired in this spot, maybe they come to some sort of financial compromise, because generally, if you retire, or actually like a legit retire, I mean, that's it. I mean, there's usually clauses in contracts for coaches that if they retire, they don't get paid out. But maybe they do come to some sort of arrangements like, hey, we kind of want to fire you, but also we kind of want you to retire, so we'll come to some sort of compromise, some sort of, maybe we'll pay you out on 1.5 years of those 3 years remaining. Also, allowing him to retire with that dignity instead of being fired, is that worth a couple $1,000,000? I mean, possibly, right? And Zimmer, by the way, Zimmer would be phenomenal on TV, even though, of course, he comes across as crusty and this and that, but it's like when Belichick, has this persona, as well as like Nick Saban has this, but if you get Saban on TV, Saban's phenomenal on TV, man. Belichick could be great on TV too, if and when he ever retired. So I think if you got Zimmer away from coaching, just put him on TV, give him film and let him sit down with former players. Could you imagine Zimmer and Dion breaking down film? How awesome that would be! It would be a hoot. But I still think it's far-fetched as of right now. But also, everyone retires, man. Bud Grant retired at age 56, and then again at 58 after he came back after Les Steckel debacle. So Bud Grant retired relatively young. Zimmer 64, so never say never. And yes, Bud retired because he wants to spend time with his family, legitimately, not as an excuse, but legitimately. And also, he had interests outside of football. I mean, Bud Grant getting in the outdoors, fishing, hunting, all that stuff. I mean, Zimmer, he's a football guy, but never say never. And as the season continues, and also if the Vikings give away close games or simply just don't show up, I do think that Zimmer has lost the locker room for whatever that cliche entails. Maybe all of a sudden being on a nice beach with some nice company instead of hanging around some cold, sleety weather with Kirk Cousins or Chris Thomason seems a lot more appealing. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, but I think it's pretty unlikely at this point, but, like they said, never say never. So, your thoughts. Could Mike Zimmer just straight up retire? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work, pull some of the Venmo, but until next time, Skol, production value.